One.
Hello and welcome to the Adventures in Poor Taste podcast, the only comic book podcast that guarantees the youngest participants in the podcast and the least talking about actual comic books and more about TV shows. So today on the docket we have 2 TV show trailers. Look at that. We're going to start discussing a pull list that we've compiled of the best way to spend $12 this Comic Book Wednesday. We're also going to discuss our indie comic book Manifest Destiny. That's relevant only because the trade comes out today. So I would recommend not only getting Manifest Destiny #1, but getting the entire trade. We'll get to that later. Let's start off with the pull list. Alright, so we have $12 to spend today. We were in the comic book store, and the 3 books we chose to pick, which are actually pretty diverse. They're from a couple different publishers.
Couple different creative teams.
Yep.
A couple different creative teams, yep. JR, do you want to introduce your comic book addition to the pull list?
Yep. The one I picked this week was United States of Murder, Inc. It's written by Brian Michael Bendis and drawn by Michael Avon Omin. I'm not sure if I pronounced that right.
I think it's pronounced Avon Weeming.
Okay.
Oh.
Well, either way, they're the creative team behind the long-running series Powers, and this is their second series. It's hard to explain since they didn't get into a lot of detail, but in the sort of distant future, not too distant, the organized crime is pretty much runs the country for the most part. There is a big, ginormous family that is, like I said, running things, and the story follows the newest member of the family who's been given a special mission to go to D.C. to deliver a briefcase to a U.S. senator. I won't say more about that because we can get into some serious spoilers. But it's really good. It's probably one of the most interesting first issues that come out this week. I'm not sure how many new series came out this week, but it's definitely one of the best.
And that's by Icon, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah, Icon doesn't release a lot of series. Mostly just Brian Michael Bendis series.
I feel like Icon exists. I feel like Icon exists purely for Matt Fraction and Brian Michael Bendis. Like they never use that imprint for anything.
Well, the only time.
Kick-Ass. All of Miller's books are printed through Icon.
And
they used to be. Now he's doing Image Comics.
Well, there's also that Painkiller Jane series that came out in November that I reviewed.
Okay, fair enough.
It's
Yeah,
a little bit of a mix, but for the most part, you're right, Greg. So my 2 picks, first of all, Secret Avengers, which is written by Alice Cott, one of my personal favorite writers right now. If I could read all of the books from one writer, I would definitely pick Alice Cott. He sort of has that adolescent kind of tone and kind of messages, which makes it perfect for, well, an adolescent. But it's also very well written, and I think that he gets violence and he gets how to make a statement in one issue, which is so valuable in a day and age where we have vines and just short clips of entertainment. It's nice to have a tiny little bit of entertainment really make a lasting impression. I love Zero. I love everything that he does, and I love Secret Avengers now. This issue is no different. It was very well written, very well structured. I like both of the stories going on here, but I really like the team that he's put together because he's made it work. If you just put these characters together with any other writer, I think it wouldn't have worked as well. Mariah Hill being kind of bossy, Phil Coulson being kind of dopey, Natasha being kind of herself. It's all sort of works together, and you can see that there's a lot brewing and that there are going to be some conflicts down the road, but so far everything's a little bit light. And I like that, and I think it's a very, very promising new series, and I cannot wait for the next issue. I love Alice Cott, and I'm so excited to see where this goes. So that is mine, and that brings us to... Yeah, keep going.
Out of curiosity, since you like the writer so much, have you read his Iron Patriot?
I haven't read Iron Patriot just because I don't like Iron Patriot, and I don't think...
You mean War Machine?
Yeah. But that brings us to $7.98, which is already a pretty low number, but a little bit too high because each of these books are $4. Now my third and last pick is the Auteur number 3, which is just the vilest, funniest, he's just such a delicious comic. It is gross and gory and surprising, and I love what this team is doing with it. It's Rick Spears and someone Callahan. Yeah, James Callahan. And what they're doing is they're not only giving us a ton of great just awesome humor that's not only really funny but also really audacious and just will make you blush, but they're also carrying a nice story, and they have a really awesome main character who is super crazy. So
So it's perfect for a 12-year-old.
perfect, absolutely perfect. It's completely inappropriate, but it's another one of my favorite series to date. I didn't finish my review on it, but if I did, it would definitely be a 10. I love this comic, and I can't wait to see where this one goes either. So that brings us to $11.98. You get to keep your 2 cents. Congratulations, and those are the 3 comics we recommend.
Well,
You
Greg
still
didn't
have
really
to
recommend
pay
them.
tax. Well, my comic, what was going to be on my pull list, I just realized doesn't come out till next week, so I'm saving it for that. But it is the first perfect 10 that I have awarded since starting to write on this site since back in November. So
Jesus Christ.
looking forward to talking about that. What do you mean, Jesus Christ? I haven't read a comic before.
No, it's
on
just
the
been
site.
that long since you started. It's been that long since you started writing. That means it's been even longer for me. We're closing in on a year.
I'm
I've been
already
writing for the
past a
site.
year.
Isn't that crazy?
Mhm.
By the way, Adventures in Poor Taste is recruiting. We don't have enough people writing for us. We have too many free comics coming in. If you'd like to come write for us, just maybe 1 article a week, come email us, contact@adventuresinpoortaste.com. We definitely need some female writers, so if you're a female writer out there, please come on and shoot us an article. I'm sure we'd appreciate
Too
it.
many free comics, though. That is the kind of problem that you will have
Yeah.
when you start writing for Adventures in Poor Taste.
Those are the woes of an Adventures in Poor Taste writer. Yeah, but we'd love to have more writers, so if you are interested, please by all means send us an email, and we'd love to have you. So that's just one thing. Now we got to move on to our free comic of the week, which is Manifest Destiny #1. Manifest Destiny is a new Image comic that's only just in its infancy. It's 6 issues in. It's historical fiction about
The Lewis and Clark expedition.
exactly, but there are crazy creatures all over.
Yes, there's a lot of crazy crap out there. The first trade
The
came
way
out. The first trade came out, and it's the perfect time to jump in. So me and Sam just love this series. But what about you, Greg?
Okay, I read the first issue, and from what I can understand now, having read it about the premise, it's kind of like what I wish the Manhattan Project could have been, in the sense that it takes this very well-known part of history and says, yeah, that was a pretty interesting time. What if things were even crazier? And I think we're going to be talking about Jonathan Hickman a little later. But one of the things that I really liked about Manifest Destiny is there is a much stronger sense of character. There's a sense of humor to it. It flows very well, and it has a great ending. And I'm interested in seeing where it goes from here. So maybe I'll pick up the trade if I got a little extra change lying around.
It's $10. Image is doing pretty well with these nice $10 trades.
Jordan, in the spirit of pointed questions, you have been reading this and reviewing this since the get-go. Now, having read all 6 issues up to date, what do you think, coming back to the first issue, what do you think now that we've seen these characters fleshed out? What do you think now that we've seen what happened to all of these new plot lines that were introduced in the first issue? What do you think?
And my opinion is pretty much stayed the same. This is still a very exciting and intriguing opening, and it's great to see how far it's come. Though I still in the idea that I'm still not completely invested in the two main characters. I'm starting to like their teammates better, especially Sacagawea. You'll be in for a treat when you see her, Greg, later on.
Okay. Okay. I'm not totally on board yet, but if I happen to see the second issue lying around, maybe I'll pick it up. But I was, I'll be honest, I wasn't blown away like you guys were. It's a little bit slow to start.
That's
But
yeah,
again,
it's kind of slow.
I liked it. I didn't love it, but I didn't dislike it either.
The ending of the 5th issue is really awesome. Spoiler alert, my name is in the letter column, so read it. So let's move on to the 2 trailer teasers that we got this week. Constantine, the trailer we saw, it was pretty long, about 3 minutes, and strangely enough, it had 2 cast members from Lost, which I found kind of exciting and also kind of weird. So, what did you guys think about the casting of this show?
I don't really know any of the actors, but the guy who's playing Constantine looks pretty well like Constantine, and he has at least a good accent instead of like a fake one.
Have you read the books?
I've only read the first trade collection of Hellblazer by Jamie Delino.
Jamie Delano.
Yeah. I read the first trade. That was pretty good, and I
What is
read
it with your name, Jordan?
I'm just
You could not get a single one. You struck out every single time tonight.
Oh yeah, well I read the Constantine.
Jordan Ricards.
Well,
Yes.
I read
Ricard.
and I read the latest incarnation from the 52 by Jeff Lemire and Ray Fox. There you go. I pronounced those names. So I'm
The 2 most Anglo-Saxon, phonetically sound names yet. Congratulations, Jordan. Yeah, I think I haven't read the trades either, but it looks like definitely it has potential to be an awesome TV show. I think the magical elements look awesome, and like Greg was saying, there's a big budget behind this clearly, and I'd love there to be also some attitude to it, which it looks like there is. It sort of reminded me, the whole aesthetic reminded me of Hannibal. I don't know what that was, but it really did remind me of Hannibal, and I really like Hannibal. So I'm very excited to see where this goes, and the one thing I have going into it, I think it should stray away from the comics, because even like, I haven't read the comics, but I just don't think TV shows should coincide with comics. I just think they should be in the spirit of it, but not be exactly alike.
Well, this is on the right channel if it's gonna be being a Constantine story. Like you pointed out, NBC has Hannibal and it also has Grimm, 2 extremely gory and violent shows. This will fit right in if it's anything like Hellblazer.
See, I know I'm a bit concerned that it's not on like an HBO or Showtime or something, because
Wouldn't you just love it if everything were on HBO?
well, that would be cool, I guess. But no, I mean, Hellblazer was one of the first Vertigo stories.
I think it was the first.
Was it?
I think it was. It came out just before Sandman, I believe.
Well, either way, I mean, it span out of Alan Moore's Swamp Thing run, which I haven't finished reading yet, but you know,
it's good.
It's really great stuff because it's written by Alan Moore. And I know I've probably, from what it sounds like, I've read more of Hellblazer than you guys, which isn't to say that I've read all that much, but I've read more than the first trade. And one of the things about it is, you know, I feel like the cursing and stuff is actually really necessary in this
come on.
storyline. No, I'm being.
Cursing is never necessary. It's like the word utilize. You can always do without it.
No, I disagree.
I just made it funny there.
Well, you just gotta
there's something about the language of Hellblazer that really captures, you know, that kind of gritty London sound.
Yeah, but if you're a good author, you can do that in another way. You can write well and then you capture that gritty London sound, not by swearing. Cursing is a feeble mind trying to push out a forceful thought.
Sure,
Ever heard
sure.
that quote?
Yes, I've read that quote, and it's a great bumper sticker. But it doesn't change the fact that this is how, at least at that time in London, this is how people actually talked.
Dude,
There's a very authentic sound to, maybe I'm being unfair. I wasn't in London at that time, but
I haven't read
I'm
it, but
just, I don't want this to be watered down, is what I'm saying.
okay, that's fair. I respect that. Everything does, though, except for Watchmen. The Watchmen movie was really not watered down, and I think that was a shame because they focused on the sex and the goriness instead of the heart of the story. You know what I mean?
Right. And I'm saying that while there's absolutely a heart to the Constantine story, to the Hellblazer story, through the different writers that have written John Constantine, part of that heart is a very, very dirty sensibility.
Mm-hmm. John Constantine is a bastard, as they put it.
Yes, he is absolutely a bastard, and bastards say bad words.
Okay, what do we think of the Flash trailer, teaser trailer, as it were? It's a little bit shorter than the John Constantine one, but it's a little bit more
Upbeat.
Upbeat, yes. It gives you, I don't know. It was pretty much the whole thing was the Green Arrow looking like he was on some ennobling quest, trekking across the countryside and stopping somewhere to shoot an arrow with poor form, might I add. And when he does so, the Flash runs up and catches said arrow, and to which Green Arrow replies, "Show off." Not the most inspired scripts, but
No.
the graphics certainly did look good. And
Yes, the special effects to display his speed and the Speed Force was very good, and I do like the fact that the main character is very happy, energetic, and looks like a happy-go-lucky kind of person.
See, I thought that the special effects actually looked pretty cheesy. It looked way too video gamey to me. But I guess that's kind of all you could really do with a character like the Flash. There's no way that you could really make someone running at the speed of light look realistic. But you could try. I agree that I like the fact that he seems like a more fun character, especially contrasted against Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a bit of an odd choice to feature Green Arrow more prominently than the Flash in a trailer for the Flash.
Honestly, when I first watched it, I was kind of confused. Did I click on the wrong thing?
I think that was a good choice because it doesn't alienate audiences. Audiences already have an in, already have something to relate to, something they know, something that's familiar, and it's also saying that he's sort of a friendly guy. He's a social guy. He's not yet another loner. He's gonna be pairing up with people and interacting with people, and with that sort of bait and hook method, I think it was very good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fair.
I'm
looking forward to the show.
Me too. I'm just looking forward to I'm just looking forward to a superhero show that's a little more positive than the ones we have currently.
Absolutely.
All right. Do we have any other topics, or are we free to freeform?
Well, do you guys want to talk about Hickman now?
Well, I will say, in terms of what we're reading, because we did want to talk about that, what we're all
yes.
reading. Okay. Well, one of the things I've been reading is I got the Image Comics Humble Bundle, which, if it's still available, which I believe it is, I highly recommend it.
It's not. I don't.
It's not? Okay, well,
Nope.
Donate to the Comic Book Legal Defense Fund anyway. It's a great cause. But anyway, one of the things that came with the bundle was East of West Volume 1.
Yeah.
I read that whole thing, and I felt nothing. and that's a really kind of
Bad feeling.
sad. Yeah, it's
It's
kind
a
of
hollow
sad feeling
feeling.
when. Yeah, because I read it. I heard such great things about it. Nominated for an Eisner.
It's nominated for
Nominated for a few Eisners actually.
best new series, best continuing series, and best
Can we all
artist.
agree that it should not be nominated for an Eisner?
Well, maybe for artwork.
You,
I think
I mean, I
there have been
think
better artists.
true, but I'm just saying if we had to nominate for something, it'd probably be the artwork.
if we had to nominate it for something, thank God there aren't only 2 comics in the whole comic industry.
Well, I'm just saying. But
I think
Well,
it's
Sam,
the
I know
artwork.
you outright refused to read it.
I've read the first 3, and I hated them.
I have a little interesting story with this. Back at the beginning of the year, when I was going to visit my dad down in Florida, I got trapped in the Chicago airport during the middle of a snowstorm. So I had to kill like 7 hours in an airport. So I went to the bookstore and bought a few trades, including East of West. Admittedly, I liked the first issue. I thought it didn't have much in the way of, well, character, but I was kind of intrigued by it.
Yeah,
And-
that minor storytelling quibble.
Yeah, I mean, I was intrigued by
Kind
it.
of cliche at this point.
I know, I was intrigued by it. It seemed like an interesting kind of world. Was kind of curious about this mythology they were building. I do like kind of the setup, and if they actually, followed up on those minor quibbles, I think it could have been a lot better, or if you had likable characters. But it's just not there for me. It's really hollow and kind of empty.
Anti-everything. It's like you're not reading anything.
I still maintain that I think Jonathan Hickman is a bad writer. A lot of people really like him, and I could actually see the reason why. He knows how to create a mood, he knows how to create atmosphere, and he knows how to write plots. The problem is, I am a character-oriented reader. I consider myself a character-oriented writer as well. And he is not...
Jordan?
What? I'm a character.
You think so?
I really like characters. That's one of the main reasons I like a lot of stories out there. Characters are really a big sticking point for me.
Yeah. And he is not a character-oriented writer. It's what happens to the characters to him more than how it affects those that's happening to. And
that's interesting. I like that. I like that, what you just said. I would agree. I think that's very true. And because of that, it does create that hollow feeling, like you aren't reading anything. You're just reading sort of like the outline of a story that it's like, what will happen next? I wonder. It's like a pitch. It's almost like a pitch. It's like I'm reading Jonathan Hickman's pitch to Image.
Well, that's pretty much all of his Avengers works, as I pretty much said from, let's see here, since the very beginning when I wasn't even a member of the site and wrote a comment.
I'll also say that I wouldn't be talking this much in depth about a writer that I haven't read a lot of. I'll enumerate everything I've read from him. The first 2 issues of New Avengers, first 3 issues of Avengers. I like to call it Original Recipe Avengers. The first volume of Manhattan Projects, and of course the first volume of East of West. Of those, I'd say Manhattan Projects was probably the best.
I would agree.
Largely because it featured the best art. Also because it had the closest thing we had, I think, to real characterization. I wouldn't really count his Avengers stuff in terms of characterization because the work there is kind of already done for him.
I said, the cardboard cutouts.
I wouldn't really say that about Manhattan Projects. It's more the fact
Avengers.
that the focus is so not on them. Oh, you're saying that his Avengers run, they're cardboard cutouts.
Yes, they are, or stereotypes of certain character traits.
What do you mean stereotypes of character traits?
Oh, I said that wrong. They're stereotypes of characters you would see, like Captain America is a generic military leader, and stuff.
Okay.
I never got into his Avengers run, but I think that's for a lack of trying. I think I get bored too easily, but I do think that's mainly on him because he shouldn't be getting me bored. You know what I mean?
He
Like,
should also be moving the story along instead of dragging
Yeah.
it out for issue to issue to issue.
I would have liked to read more East of West. I haven't been able to get a hold of it. I don't know if I ever will. But I think just of what I've read, I simply just, it's this whole thing I've talked about, this whole phenomenon of just reading what makes you happy, and it doesn't make me happy. Stray Bullets makes me happy. Scout makes me happy. I want to read what makes me happy, and if I do that, yeah, exactly. I'll live a happy life, and I won't be stuck in this endless pit of just reading just to read. And I really want to stick by that, and Jonathan Hickman is not part of that plan.
I heard his Fantastic Four work is actually probably the best of all because he had actual characters in it, but I haven't really sat down to read it or found a copy I could, but it's on the list to check out eventually.
I've actually read the first issue of his FF.
Oh,
But
how was it?
did you guys hear that he'll actually be ending his Avengers run come next May?
Well, yes, I did, and I celebrated.
How'd you celebrate?
By saying yes.
Okay, and that celebration over.
Yes, because I still got more to read.
Okay.
You don't have more to read. It's choice. It's self-induced pain. You choose what to read, Jordan. You don't have to keep reading Catwoman. You don't have to keep reading the Avengers.
But I'm almost there, man. Apparently it's ending. It has to be ending soon.
You know what? It could end as soon as you want it to end because you don't have to read it. Then it's over. Catwoman could be over right now for you.
It will never be over. Never.
No, I mean, it won't be. But,
that pain will linger within me forever.
But it could be over for you. You could make that not a part of your life anymore. How would it feel better to not? Would it feel better to live a life full of only comics that you enjoy?
To be perfectly honest, it's still kind of fun writing reviews on it, because it's different than writing reviews on mediocre things or good things all the time. You need to read something bad every once in a while to put things in perspective.
That's true. I agree with that. I've always believed. And this goes for anything that you read, whether it's comics or poetry or novels or whatever, that everything you read is a learning experience. At least when you're a writer.
Don't seek the bad. That's you say like it's your job to go and look for bad comics that the good comics are better. You shouldn't seek the bad. Just let the bad come to you. I think that's
not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that if you happen to read
what Jordan
bad.
just said. Jordan, you just said that you need some bad comics to put the good ones in perspective and make them look better, right?
Right.
Basically. But you don't have to seek the bad from Catwoman. Wait for, like, Justice League or something you like to have a bad issue. Then you're like, wow, now I really enjoy the other issues so much more.
Sometimes comics can surprise you. If you saw my recent review on Avengers, I thought it was pretty good, the best of the run so far, even a 7 out of 10 for me. Sometimes comics can surprise you, even when you thought they were originally bad.
So then let them surprise you. Don't, I don't know.
Well,
your life, live it.
What have you been reading, Sam?
Lately, I've been trying to catch up on a bunch of trades. I've been reading Stray Bullets. I bought the Omnibus because my store is having a 20% off sale. I also read Deadly Class. I got caught up on that. And I'm 4 trades through American Vampire, which I'm not totally enjoying, but it's getting better as I keep going.
I told you.
I told you the third arc was where it really got good.
It didn't really get good. It just got really better. I think it still is a while to go, but it is getting better.
And well, for me, what I've been reading is I read a lot more Japanese manga than you guys probably ever do. I'm reading something called Umi Niko When They Cry. It's akin to something like Ten Little Indians and Then There Was None. It's part horror, part mystery, part suspense, psychological thriller, drama, and metafiction, all thrown into one.
Oh, you sold me on the metafiction.
Yeah, it's 1986. A wealthy family is having a family reunion on a secluded island that they owned. The head of the family is dying, and everyone's kind of discussing what happens next, who gets the wealth. However, they're trapped on an island when a storm rolls in and confines all 18 people. Oh, as they're stuck there for 2 days, and as the time goes people start dying. Six, 2, 3, 4, or people just start dropping off, and they need to figure out who's causing this and why. It could be a human killer, or it could be something else. And the story is. The story is actually kind of like Groundhog's Day. Every story arc replays the same case over and over. The killer is different. The victims and killer and people who survive are different. Sometimes you know who is killing people. Sometimes you don't. It keeps getting more and more different as time goes on.
And you think it's good?
Oh, it's really good. It's extremely wordy. It's a mystery and it's very logic based. They talk a lot in this story, or about theories, about ideas, about who's causing what, how he explains certain things away, even when it doesn't seem impossible. Seems impossible to explain by human hands. And it's also extremely gruesome. The first murders can be best summed up by a quote: "Why don't they have any faces?"
Wow.
Okay.
With that, we're out of time. Thank you very much for joining us. Be sure to join us next week. And if you're an interested writer or just an interested person, get in touch with us so you can write for us. Good night and goodbye.
We'll see you next week.
Good night.